Nice job. High forward.
One shot, one kill. Ronnie did.
Now introducing your BudHole podcast, Scott, the Great Brandino, Gage's Rage, and Star Lamar.
What's up, girl?
I love the BudHole.
Who doesn't love the BudHole? Welcome, everybody, to BudHole Mailbag, week number 4. This episode is brought to you by ShockFantasy.com. We had Matt Harrison on 2 weeks ago, and he gave us a special deal for our listeners. So if you head over to ShockFantasy.com, use promo code BudHole, you'll get Shock Fantasy, which has great DFS information. And we do have a DFS question in our mailbag segment today. They give you great breakdowns as far as shock scores, in-depth analysis for starts, cheap buys over at shockfantasy.com. Definitely worth the 6.9 cents per day. You'll pay that off in your first DFS lineup that you set using
How much was that per day again?
6.9 cents per day.
That's a solid number.
And the second one is Thrive Fantasy, which we've been plugging every single mailbag we've done, plus all of our podcasts. Thrive Fantasy is a prop betting DFS gambling. It's not technically gambling, but it kind of is. Sportsbook. And so if you deposit $20, use promo code BUD, they will match that 20 instantly, and you'll be able to play prop up betting DFS, all sports, not just football, over at thrivefantasy.com. With that being said, let's get into the mailbag, boys.
Let's do it.
Our first question of the day comes to us from Chris from Twitter, and he asks, rest of season, are you looking at DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett in PPR? Gage is ready. We'll start with you.
I am going to take DK Metcalf here. I like his options in the PPR scheme. He's been getting a lot more targets to start this season. And if Russ is truly unlimited, I'll take DK Metcalf with the just physical ability.
Yeah, for me, give me some of that Seattle offense, and these are the two to get. Russell Wilson, if he keeps playing like this, you really can't go wrong with either of them. I do think I like DK Metcalf a little bit more, just because he's more of the big play guy. But there's also a risk with that, so I think give me DK Metcalf rest of the season.
I'm sitting the same thing. I was just looking up Tyler Lockett's stats right now, and I mean he's averaging about 8 catches a game. But 92 yards, 67, and 100 outside of the 3 touchdowns that he had last week, which is an anomaly. He's only had 1. I think I'm going to roll with DK too. He's a big guy. He's fast, physical, can catch the ball. I think he's more dynamic than Tyler Lockett, so I think he's going to have a better season. But I don't think you're going to go wrong with either of these players. It could be either week one of them hits and one of them doesn't. But I think DK is probably a little bit safer.
Question number 2 comes from Brad from Twitter. He's asking us, rest of season, are you in on Zach Moss, Josh Kelly, or Circle Jerk McKinnon? I'll take the reins on this one, and I think McKinnon, I feel like his value is topped out right now. Once you get Mostert come back, it's going to take a knock. I think Wilson's going to be a roll. The 49ers like a rotating backfield anyways. So really it comes down to me between Josh Kelly and Zach Moss. Josh Kelly had a fumble last week on a week a lot of people had him on a big week on. So if Josh Kelly happens to fumble here again in the next few weeks, he's looking at possibly sitting behind, might I add, a really good running back in Eckler. The Chargers do like to use multiple running backs, but Eckler is the truly better running back. To me, if you look at the Buffalo backfield, it's an offense that is a high-scoring offense. Josh Allen's on a potentially MVP-type season right now. And I don't know that Singletary truly is the better running back than Zach Moss. So I think I'm going to take a flyer on Moss, hoping he breaks out here one of these upcoming weeks and takes the reins as the lead guy. Plus, we know he's already the goal line guy when he is healthy. So I think give me Zach Moss. Brandon, what do you think?
I'm sitting there right with you. McKinnon has topped out with Mostert. I think he was ruled out this week, but he's likely coming back next week. It definitely diminishes the value of McKinnon. The rib injury doesn't seem to be serious, but you never know, could linger. And then Jeff Wilson obviously popped last week as well. So there's a lot of players in that backfield. and I'm just not liking his value moving forward. Josh Kelly, I'm not much of a fan of Josh Kelly either, actually. So give me Zach Moss. Singletary has some fumbling issues. If that kind of comes up again this season, I can see Zach Moss taking over the reins sooner rather than later. And like you said, already the goal line back. So he's going to get those carries around the touchdown where it really matters. So give me Zach Moss.
Zach Moss and Josh Kelly both have to deal with a mobile quarterback. And Zach Moss does get the goal line carries, but I think he will be competing with Josh Allen touchdowns. I think the clear and most obvious result for touches would be circle jerk McKinnon. So I'll go with the guy who's older, who's done it before, and is got the best opportunity for touches, in my opinion.
Next question. Who should I start? This is from Dab2K on Twitter. Thank you, Twitter, for getting us some mailbag questions as well as the emails. Who should I start? Stafford, Burrow, Fitzmagic, or Goff? This week specifically, I'm feeling Fitzmagic. I'm going to allude to a question here in the next couple on DFS. We had a Facebook user ask for some DFS plays, but I think I'm leading Fitzmagic this out of these four, but I would say Burrow's not a far off second. Goff, I'm not sure. I don't trust them throwing the ball. They might just run every single play. So give me Fitzmagic.
I do want to apologize. It looks like we didn't go live on Facebook right away, so we are live now. So if you're tuning in on Facebook, you're going to have to scroll back and see the last few minutes. Hey, guys. But yeah, sorry about that.
Technical difficulty.
Yeah, whatever. Whoever's in charge of this is a piece of shit anyways. It's a shitty commissioner, that's for sure. For my
got a good heart, though.
Stafford has been so hit and miss. Yeah, he does have a good heart. Stafford has been hit or miss. I might roll with him this week just because it's between him and Minshew, but he's been consistent, I suppose, at about 16, but the weeks you think he's going to hit big, he doesn't. Burrow, I do like Burrow's matchup, and I think that's who I'm going to go with. Fitzmagic has a really good lineup against the Seattle, who's led up the most fantasy points to wide receivers, which I think is like 79 through 3 games, and the next closest is Denver. And before Thursday night's game, they only let up like 45 or something like that. So they've let up 30 more points, probably 15 more going into this game. So I think Magic has a good matchup, but Magic is hit or miss too. And I feel like this is a dud game. It looks like an electric matchup. The week that you're going to start Devontae Parker and he's going to get 2 touchdowns, but he gets you 2 catches for 30 yards. He does that to you as well. So give me Burrow going against Jacksonville. They have a bad defense. The dude throws 1 million times a game. He's the second highest in pass attempts so far through the year, only 2 behind Dak. I think he's got 141, and Dak's got 143. So let's roll with the rookie. I think he's going to get his first win today.
I'm with you there, Brandon. I think the rookie is still trying to get that first win, but has a juicy matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And showed he can swing it around. He found his favorite target, T. Higgins, from college. Look for him to keep it going this week.
Question number 4. If I'm starting a franchise today, this is not fantasy related, just straight up NFL. But if I'm starting a franchise today, am I in Lamar Jackson or Dak Prescott as my starting quarterback? Brandon, we'll start with you.
I'm going to go with Dak Prescott. I'm not I've never really been the biggest fan of him, but I think he's done it. He's done it for a few years longer. He's played really well. They haven't quite gotten over that hump. They're still, hover around that 8-8. But Lamar Jackson done it in the playoffs, done it in the big primetime game against the Chiefs this year. He just hasn't shown me that he can do it. And they're not that far apart in age. They're both mobile, but Dak is a better passer, in my opinion. So give me the guy who can pass the ball and run the ball.
Gage?
One of these guys is not like the other, and that guy is Lamar Jackson. He is just a freak of nature, absolute athlete, and is a game changer when the football is in his hands. Dak Prescott has shown he can take 8-8 Cowboy teams to the playoffs, but he doesn't really have what it takes to be a game changer and make a difference in a playoff series. Where I think Lamar flopped his first opportunity, but in a overall career has the skills it takes to win the Super Bowl. So give me Lamar Jackson.
To me, Lamar Jackson's interesting because he has all the skill on this. Like when you watch him play, you say, "Oh, this guy's so different." But we've seen guys like him before, guys that are so different, and they don't end up having long NFL careers. Now, the question you ask yourself is, would I rather have a 5-year window with Lamar Jackson to go win a Super Bowl, or would I rather have 10 to 12 years, maybe more with Dak Prescott of high hopes, but not quite meeting the expectations? Because that's been Dak's career so far in Dallas with really good teams, might I add. I think personally, I'm a little bit more of a safe bet. And the reason I picked Dak is because Lamar Jackson, you have to build the whole entire offense around him. Dak Prescott, you can get best player available generally, and the offense is built. So I think I'd go Dak Prescott, but this one's a really tough question. It's more conservative versus aggressive, but it's a very good question. Next one we have from Facebook. Brandon asks, can I get some DFS plays for week 4? Which I alluded to earlier in this. I would say one stack I really like this week is go Fitzmagic with Devontae Parker. I think that game is going to absolutely break the over-under. And Fitzmagic and Devontae Parker are primed to be good buys for value plays from wide receiver and quarterback, which is generally what you like to stack in DFS. I think Gesicki could even be a good stack as well to go along with that. Really go double and triple down on the Miami offense.
Yeah, I think another offense would be that Cincinnati offense going up against Jacksonville, and Joe Burrow with T. Higgins. They got a couple touchdowns last week. I don't think it's touchdown chasing necessarily, as a couple rookie duos figuring it out in week 4.
Oh, I'm up next. I haven't really thought about this question too much. Truthfully, I haven't been doing a lot of like DraftKings style DFS. I've been doing more Thrive Fantasy, as you can see right there, which is more prop betting. I think I'd probably lean more towards going with Russell Wilson against or with like DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett. Like I said, either one is not a bad play. I think the over-under in that game is 53.5, so you got a lot of points going. But those two are one of the highest valued wide receivers. They're 7,000 and 6,800. So I'd probably roll with Metcalf. He's a little bit lower. He's got just as much of a big ability, and Miami is 22nd against the pass as well. So I think that's a favorable matchup, along with Russ, who looks like the highest quarterback, 7,800, but the guy's balling, and he's going to keep doing it this year.
That leads us into the most highly anticipated segment of the mailbag. Everybody waits for it. The studs and duds from the BudHole. Let's start out on this with our quarterbacks. And with that, starting at quarterback, we will start off with me, I guess. Why not, right?
Good. Yeah.
So for my stud this week, I got Drew Brees. I think Drew Brees is an absolute stud this week specifically. And the guy that I have as a stud at running back is the reason why. Alvin Kamara is on pace for 3,000 catches right now if Michael Thomas doesn't come back this year. So give me Drew Brees, throw into Kamara against that secondary of Detroit's. Detroit's an absolute gutter trash secondary. Drew Brees has been hearing about how he's washed up all week, the last 2 weeks. He's going to come out and ball out. Give me Drew Brees as my stud. Dud, it's a super easy dud. Tom Brady. Tom Brady's a dud. That Tampa Bay offense, they're winning games, but they're still trying to figure things out. I know Fournette's out, but Tom Brady and that offense are still trying to figure out ways to click. Godwin's out this week, so don't start Godwin. Or if you're playing me in fantasy, do start Godwin. But yeah, so give me Tom Brady as my dud, and Drew Brees as my stud. Next up, Brandino.
Give me Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has been the QB 10 right now, coming in as the rookie. Fun fact, he is outperforming Lamar Jackson to this point of the season. Don't think that's going to continue throughout the rest of the year, but it is a little fun fact for you. Going up against Jacksonville, who's a 26th ranked against quarterback. What intrigues me the most is that he's second by only 2 pass attempts behind Dak Prescott. He's got 141 pass attempts through 3 games. I mean, he's throwing the ball almost 50 times a game on average. So the guy is lighting it up. He's throwing the ball a lot, and I like guys who have volume, which he definitely does. The Vegas line is at 49, so it's kind of in that middle of the road. Point expected, so I think that he could be closer to 60 the way he's been playing, and Jacksonville. So give me Joe Burrow as my stud of the week. Moving into my duds of the week for quarterback, I will take an easy one, Daniel Jones. Although the Rams are a favorable matchup, they're ranked 23rd against the pass. A majority of that came week 3 against MVP candidate Josh Allen. He threw for 311 yards and 5 touchdowns. They held Wentz to less than 250 yards and a score, and Dak to 266 and 1 touchdown. So the Giants haven't been that great, or the Rams haven't been that bad, actually, against the pass. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up here.
Well, so, no, you're right. The Giants haven't been that great either.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So Jones has been atrocious, not breaking 300 yards in a single game yet this year. He's got 2 touchdowns, 6 total turnovers, no Saquon, bad offensive line, and he's going up against Aaron Donald. I don't like the matchup for Daniel Jones. He's looking for a rough day. He's going to be a dud this week.
Really quick to fill in Star Lamar's studs and duds. We don't have the insight on it. His computer possibly shit out right before the cast started, the mailbag. So really quick for him, he's got Kyler Murray as a stud for the week. Reasoning, not sure. Sorry, Gage. This is Gage's. I'm sorry. I just messed that up.
Jeez, we're all over the place today. We're just messing things up left and right.
Well, I'll give you a couple of reasons. I think Kyler Murray has been able to find his best receiver option in DeAndre Hopkins early in the season, and I look for that to continue this week against Carolina, who's got a pretty weak defense. Also, I think Kyler's on a 2-game rushing score streak. Once he gets to the goal line, he's just looking to get the ball in the end zone any way possible, and play action quarterback keeper has been a pretty good one lately. So that's why he's got my stud of the week at quarterback. For duds, I'm going to go with Carson Wentz going up against the 49ers. I don't think it really matters because Carson Wentz has been playing like absolute garbage.
He should be on the Giants.
Yes, yeah. That's the East is playing for who gets the quarterback draw at the draft next year, and they all are bidding for it.
Hey, we're fighting for that too. Don't count us out.
Carson Wentz, maybe it's the injuries. I just don't like what I see. So he's my dud of the week at quarterback.
All right. So now these are Star Lamar's. He's got Lamar Jackson as a stud, rightful stud. He's been really bad all year. Lamar Jackson is bound to break out eventually, right? He's really good. And then as his dud, he's got BDN, the all rightful BDN, who came in last week, won the Bears the game, and apparently he's going to be a dud this week.
The Bears do have, or not the Bears, the Colts do have the number 1 pass defense right now. So going against quarterbacks, they are number 1. However, I forget who they played in week 1. Jacksonville, I think, right? Yeah, they lost to Jacksonville week 1. Week 2, they played the Vikings where Kirk Cousins threw less than 200 yards and I think 3 interceptions. And then week 3, they played the Jets. So a little bit of a contrarian there. You know, it is a line, 3 is a line, but playing against 3 bad teams. So that could be why.
Time will tell. Next up, our running backs. Star Lamar has, for his stud this week, Kenyan Drake at running back, which I think a lot of people have on a breakout game eventually.
They're 31st against the run right now. Who are they playing this week? Carolina. Carolina's 31st against the run, and there's an over-under of 51.5. So points to be scored.
You got to remember, this Carolina team is the team that gave up 3 touchdowns to Josh Jacobs in week 1. They get every single week they're getting absolutely exploited from running backs. So Kenyan Drake, if this is the week, come on, man, just Fantasy owners have been so disappointed by you. Let's do something. This is a rally cry for Kenyan Drake. Cue Chase Edmonds. All right, dud. Miles Sanders. The Philadelphia Eagles offense, is just a bad matchup this week. They have they pulled, I think, 6 wide receivers off the streets. They have no wide receivers. Goddard's down. Miles Sanders is their only weapon. It kind of looks like at the end of last season when it was pretty much Sanders and Boston Scott the whole way.
Well, why don't I step in here because Miles Sanders is my dud of the week as well.
All right, go.
He goes up against the Niners this week, and they're currently ranked as, I think, 10th against running backs. So he's he's currently ranked the 10th running back, projected to get 17.5 points this week, according to my fantasy league. I know we use ESPN, but that's what I was looking at. The 49ers are first against running backs, albeit that was against the Giants, the Jets, and the Cardinals. And this is the 4th lowest Vegas line this week. So not a lot of points expected to be scored. The Eagles don't have a lot of wide receivers. I think one guy that's been on their team, on their active roster for the past couple of weeks with Greg Ward. And I feel like the Eagles are going to be playing from behind. So it's just not really a good matchup for Miles Sanders, in my opinion. I can roll into my stud of the week if you guys want me to.
Yeah, go to your stud.
All right. My stud is Alvin Kamara. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Kamara's been RB1 this season, and it's not even a contest. He's 20 points ahead of Aaron Jones, who's in second, and 30 points ahead of Cook, who's in third. Another week without Thomas, and Jared Cook is out. It means a big day, especially when Drew Brees, his arm strength is declining. Those dump-off passes. Like Scott said, Kamara's on pace for about 15,000 receptions this year. It's looking good for him. Vegas line of 54.5. The Lions are 23rd against running backs. This just feels like another feast day for Alvin Kamara.
Gage's rage. Cue Gage's rage.
Yeah, my start of the week, I'm going to take Nick Chubb going against the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know if necessarily Dallas is as beat up as they were last season, but they are missing a couple linebackers from the start of the season, and Nick Chubb is just on an absolute tear. I think he scored 2 touchdowns in each of the last 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a talent at running back and tough to keep out of the end zone.
This is the week that he's going to fall off. It's going to drive his trade stock straight down. So if you're holding on to Nick Chubb, before today was the day to get rid of him.
All right. Well, thanks for the confidence, Brandon. My dud of the week is going to be Joe Mixon. I don't think it's necessarily a bad matchup for Cincinnati, but I do think that they're just going to be passing the crap out of the ball. Joe Burrow is an absolute dime matchup against Jacksonville and all the wide receiver threats like we talked about. So I don't think it'll necessarily be not because of a good matchup, but just the work going somewhere else.
I think that leads to me, huh?
I believe so.
Alvin Kamara. Absolutely. Wait, sorry, that's Brandon's. Stud of the week for me, Darrell Henderson.
But you were right. Alvin
back.
Kamara was good. Yeah, he's a good pick. I'd pick him too.
He's definitely a stud this week. I'm all in on that idea. But I decided to go a little more, I guess you'd say, especially when you look at fantasy articles for this week. I'm actually, I think, more on board the hype train of Darrell Henderson. Darrell Henderson, we talked about how bad the Giants are. The Giants are a train wreck. Last week, the Giants got ran all over. This week's going to be no different. Darrell Henderson has had 2 good weeks. This week he's going to absolutely roll. Like I said, I don't think the Rams are going to pass the ball even one single time. It's going to be 57 carries for Darrell Henderson. The Rams are going to win the football game, 28 on 4 touchdowns from him, 28-3. The Giants will get 3 because the Rams feel bad for them. Or maybe better yet, the Rams will bring in Malcolm Brown for a carry. He'll fumble, and then the Giants will go 3 and out and get a field goal. 28-3. Darrell Henderson's going to be an absolute stud. Put him in your lineups. For my dud, I have CEH as my dud. Well, it's going to be an easy dud if the game ends up getting postponed, which it might. But I think the Patriots
sounds like there's no new positive tests from either team.
So it's
it looked like it's still going to get played.
they're planning on right now Monday night, are they not? Or is
I
it
believe
Tuesday?
so.
Monday. So a lot up in the air with this game, but I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a guy that I'd be really weary to start because the Patriots defense is really good and you don't stop Patrick Mahomes. So they're going to cue in on CEH. I think he's going to have a little bit of a down week this week. Give me CEH as a dud in that Kansas City offense, which is really dicey to pick a dud in that offense. Now
It's
going
a little
into,
strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Yeah, of course. Let's see. Now going into wide receivers, give me Tyler Boyd as my absolute stud this week. I like the Cincinnati passing offense. I like them a lot, especially against – wait, where's the banner? Whatever. I can't find the dud CEH. Especially going up against Jacksonville. It's going to be an absolute shootout. Two bad defenses. And Joe Burrow's balling out. If Joe Burrow doesn't get hurt from getting hit so often because of that bad offensive line, he's going to be an absolute stud. And the top guy that he's going to be throwing the ball to is Tyler Boyd. I like Tyler Boyd a lot. Give me him as my stud. Now for my dud at wide receiver.
Do you like Tyler Boyd or do you like Tyler Boyd?
I think I like Tyler Boyd.
Oh.
I think. We'll see.
Oh, we have our first commenter of the day. 380 hits for Gage. Shocker. Chris, thank you.
Yeah,
we're not surprised. That might go down this week, picking Joe Mixon as his dud. I don't even know who else he picked, but yeah.
Carson Wentz. Hey, I like to play from the hip, and I don't put a ton of research into my studs and duds of the week. If we're looking for some real good fantasy knowledge, I would check out the buyers buy and seller sell segment. Probably $7.50 over there. So thanks for the comment, Chris.
It's weird that Gage picks numbers from the only segment that we don't actually track the data for, but nonetheless.
It was super good. It was super good. You should check out that segment.
Don't fact check this, but I'm pretty sure Gage is actually hitting at 120% on his buyers buy, sellers sell.
That's what he told us last week in the podcast. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, we don't have any way to argue it, so we'll go with it. All right. So give me my dud, Scarry Terry. You heard the news breaking this morning, and if you haven't, Dwayne Haskins is on a really short leash in Washington. If he doesn't show up this week, they're going to end up benching him probably. And Scarry Terry is the number one option for Dwayne Haskins, and he's actually put together a pretty decent year so far, especially for how bad Dwayne Haskins is. But that goes to show more the talent that Scarry Terry is, not the talent that Dwayne Haskins is. Dwayne Haskins, the pressure's on. He's going to fold. Scarry Terry is a dud this week. Going to the next set, we got Allen Robinson as an absolute stud. Brandon, take it away.
That is me. I picked Allen Robinson. It's one of the lowest Vegas lines this week, which is a little scary, 43. And going up against the fourth best against the pass right now in the Colts, or fourth best against wide receivers, I should say. Again, that was a week one where Minshew didn't put up a lot of yards. Week 2 was a bad week against the Vikings. At least the Vikings had a bad week. And week 3 was against the goddamn Jets. So it looks better on paper than I think it is in real life. So with BDN coming in, I think Foles is going to spark that offense. I think they're going to get things going. I know Robinson had an uptick in targets from the second half when BDN was in versus when Trubisky was in the first half. I can see him getting a ton of targets, maybe closer to 10 targets. And if he gets a touchdown, he's going to hit that stud of the week. I think it's highly possible he gets it. I don't know if Rocky Sin is in this week. He's been battling stomach ailments, but Rhodes showed up last week. But I think the roads might be open again this week against Allen Robinson. Give me him as my stud of the week. Moving in, my dud at wide receiver. I'm going to go with Brandon Ayuk. He's ranked wide receiver 25 going into this week. And the Niners are the Eagles are 21st against the pass, which seems like a good matchup, but he's also going to have to be battling targets against Deebo Samuel, who's coming back, and George Kittle, who's 100% coming back. They just held him out last week because of issues with MetLife Stadium, that trash-ass field. Ayuk had his best week last week, 5 receptions, 101 total yards, and a touchdown. I don't see that happening again. I think he's going to kind of go back to the week one where he got about 3 for 30, and that's definitely a dud. I would not take a risk on Brandon Ayuk this week.
Cue Gage's rage. Cue Gage's rage.
Yeah, my start of the week is Keenan Allen at the wide receiver position, going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady. I think that the rookie Justin Herbert has been absolutely peppering the right guys with targets. Keenan Allen getting 10 and then 19 last week. I think the rookie knows to succeed, he has to get the ball to his playmakers, and Keenan Allen is going to show some pretty good spark if they stand any kind of chance winning the game against Tampa Bay.
He's also tied for first in targets, at least going into this week. I don't know if that changed with Thursday night, but I think 37 targets over 3 games. So just getting peppered.
Yep. The rookie knows where to put the ball, man. He is going to his playmakers. It goes Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry, and then Austin Eckler. So it's good to see the quarterback actually using the right people. My dud of the week, I'm going to go over on another game I picked a couple players from, and I'm going to take Odell Beckham Jr. I'm not
laughing at you. I'm laughing at the banner. I was looking at a different page. I come back and Gage 380 hit percent.
Hey, dude, that's so much longer than baseball.
Yeah, if you'd be leading the league in batting average if this was baseball. But
exactly, yeah, it's going to come back up. We're going to have some pretty good picks here. I think OBJ is a good pick too. Going up against the Dallas Cowboys, I just think the action is going to be used on the ground with Kevin Stefanski as their offensive coordinator. They have really good running backs in Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. So I think there's a lot of mouths to feed. Jarvis Landry is another good receiving threat with the tight end Austin Hooper. I just don't think it's OBJ's week in the receiving game.
That leads into Star's stud of the week, which is Jarvis Landry. I'll just talk on him for a half second for you. It's the second highest Vegas line, a half point behind Green Bay and Atlanta. It's at 56 right now. Dallas is 31st against the pass, and he's unreliable. OBJ is that guy where you're hoping that he hits a long touchdown, and that hits a week for you. Jarvis Landry is going to get some targets. He's going to catch some balls. I can see him being a stud. I agree with that.
Now,
and his dud of the week.
Allen Robinson.
He's wrong.
I don't think Brandon's the right guy to talk about this because Brandon's the guy that picked him as a stud.
He picked him as the dud of the week, and he's going to get a negative for that. It's not my fault.
I think Brandon alluded to the biggest. I think Brandon alluded to there's 2 big points of picking Robinson as a dud. One, it's the lowest Vegas line of the week. Correct, Brandon?
It is, yeah. Or second lowest, I think, tied for second.
Okay, so it's a really low line from Vegas, which, okay, why would you want a wide receiver? It's a fair dud pick. The second one, Nick Foles this is his first actual week starting. So there's going to be rust in an offense that, quite frankly, always looks like there's rust in it. So Allen Robinson as a dud is not a crazy pick, but I'm excited to see the Allen Robinson matchup between Brandino and Star Lamar. Let's get into studs now at tight end, where Tyler has TJ Hawkinson as a stud. I don't really have much to say about that other than there's going to have to be points scored against the Saints. And
Saints are the worst against tight ends right now. They're 32nd in the league this year. They've let up 27.3 points a game to the position, and it's a Vegas line of 54. Yeah, it looks like a good matchup for him.
Yeah, but you know how many times he's let us down on a good matchup?
Star Lamar?
Hawk.
Oh, yeah. Both, I suppose.
Hawkinson. Dud, Evan Ingram. The Giants are just a dud offense. There's nothing good coming from this offense at all. Saquon Barkley wasn't even good when he was healthy, and that was for a week and a half. That whole offense is a dud. So picking any dud in that offense, you're going to hit. Now, let's get into the real picks here. Gage's Rage, take the floor.
My start of the week is going to be tight end Robert Tonyan from Green Bay. I think
the 380 hit percentage every time I look at it.
The Green Bay Packers offense is going to need some sort of weapons, and Alan Lazard proved he could definitely be that guy when Adams is down. If Adams is down again, it's a Sunday night game they play this week, or is it Monday night?
Sunday night.
Yeah, they're later. They're one of the last games of the week, so it's you're kind of risking it going with Adams in your starting lineup. But I think Tanyan is a guy you could move over to and still get a score potential out of Sunday evening. My dud of the week, I'm going to take. I forgot my pick.
Gronk.
Nope, you got Gronk.
Oh, the Gronkowski. Yeah, dude. Godwin's down. Mike Evans got the 2 red zone touchdowns last week. I just don't think Tom Brady's going to play that well this week, and Gronkowski is going to be not a very good pick this week.
That's fair. That is actually quite an easy transition to Brandon.
I also picked Robert Tonyan. Hey, get that hit percentage out of here. That's not my hit percentage. I'm closer to 100 than Gage. Robert Tonyan, I'm going to go with him. I hate to say it because he's a Packers player, and we all know how I feel about Packers players. But Tonyan has an extremely favorable matchup this week. He's got a TD in each of his last 2 games and has seen an uptick in targets each game, pulling in 5 for 50 and a score week 3 against the Saints. Lazard's out indefinitely. I don't recall what the injury is, but I know he's not coming back. At least it might even be for the end of the year. Adams is questionable coming off an injury, and I can see Tonyan having another big week, especially going against the 31st ranked team against tight ends this year. With the highest Vegas line, 56.5.
He is a DFS buy as well. Look for Tanyan in DFS lineups. Yeah, thank you very much, listeners. All right.
What's his let me look at his thing on DFS. What's
Tanyan in my guillotine league as well. I just picked him up to start in the flex.
3,400 on DraftKings right now. Like,
you're
that's
in dire
a steal
straits,
price.
Gage. You're in dire straits if you pick him up to start in a flex spot. Aren't we all, though?
Yeah. Yeah, with the Pats Chiefs game up in the air right now. It looks like they're planning for Monday if there's no new test today, which is great news. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes is my quarterback, and if he goes out, I don't know what I'm going to do.
It's over.
Get out of here.
Right.
I'll move into my dud of the week. Let's see if I can find him on this thing.
I got you.
Oh, yep. Jimmy Grandpa. He is one of the oldest tight ends in the league. He goes up against the best team against tight ends, letting up less than 40 total yards and under 10 receptions over the season. The Colts are very good against tight ends. Again, kind of comes against, Vikings had a poor week. Do the Jaguars even have a tight end? I don't know. And then Jets are just terrible. But nonetheless, they played really good against the tight ends. Jimmy Graham looked really good last week, 6 grabs, 60 yards, and 2 touchdowns, but I don't expect that to be the norm. I don't think anybody expects that to be the norm. I like the offense more with Foles leading the way, but I don't think this is a good matchup for Jimmy Grandpa. So the game is also tied for second with 43 points as the Vegas line. So look for Grandpa to go back into slumber like we've seen the last few years.
I will kick off my studs and duds at tight end with my dud, Rob Gronkowski. Gage alluded to Gronk being a dud. I just don't think Bruce Arians really trusts Gronk to be the pass catcher when you have O.J. Howard like he was in New England. So Bruce Arians is on record of saying Gronk's a blocker. I don't think Gronk's going to get a lot of routes, period. So we're going to go him as my dud, and then as my stud, which I alluded to earlier when we were talking DFS, give me Mike Gesicki, who to actually hit duds or stud status, Mike Gesicki just has to basically catch a touchdown, which he's been good at this year. There's going to be a lot of points scored, I think, in that game. So I'm all over Miami, Seattle for a lot of points scored. I'm all over Miami keeping up a little bit with Seattle. Give me Mike Gesicki as a stud at tight end. With that being said, that wraps up the mailbag segment.
We do have one question that came in. Tim from Kimball was asking, with Kansas City game up in the air, should I move Ket out of my starting lineup?
I don't know. I think you – to me personally, I think you treat this – I think you treat this like they're not going to play. I would pivot. I would get somebody that's on the free agency list, especially if there's a good option out there. I would pick somebody up and start them. I don't know what size league this is in. If this is an 8-team league, you could maybe pick up Darrell Henderson and start him. I would do that in a heartbeat. I don't know who's out there available for you, but I would probably pivot and go somewhere else.
8-team league, that's child's play.
Well, if you don't,
people do it. We were in a 6-team league one year. It was a rough year. A lot of people dropped out. Fucking Seattle would have won that year if it wasn't for Seattle. God.
Apparently people don't forget.
Yeah, I definitely don't. It does look like the game is expected to play. Again, contingent on negative COVID tests, according to Schefter and Rossini, whoever that guy is. I would expect them to play. The NFL doesn't want to shut down games, doesn't want to slow things down. I think the Titans was more of an aggressive situation where multiple players over the course of a couple of days had tested positive. This isn't showing it. I know they had another scare with the Saints. I think their fullback tested positive. Was it this morning? But turns out, or yesterday. But turns out
after they landed.
Turns out it was a false positive, which we saw before in the NFL. I think they're going to be playing. I see it happening tomorrow. They don't want to pivot out of these games.
Is it worth risking, though? That's the question. Is it worth having CEH in your lineup when there's options on the table?
Depending on who else you have. Like you said, he's your dud of the week. So for you, it's easier if your number one running back is, let's say it was Derrick Henry, and you got Allaire in the second round or something like that. Now you're looking at, now I'm out 2 guys. It might be worth the risk. If you have other guys on your bench that are serviceable or in free agency, yeah, pick somebody up and pivot. But if you don't have a choice or you don't have a lot of great options, I'd probably end up sticking with them. Ride it out. I mean, I'm 0-3, so what do I got to lose?
Gage, what do you have to say on this?
I would agree with Brandon, actually. I know your fantasy opinion's kind of crap being 0-3 to start the year, but if you have...
Hey, what's that banner at the bottom there?
Hey, it's just week 4, all right? This is going to change quite a bit. But if you had Patrick Mahomes in your starting lineup and you could go over to Joe Burrow, per se, pick up someone that can actually give you a pretty good shot at quarterback, I'd say do that. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the running back position, it's a lot tougher to fill a void at running back, especially this late in the season with the injuries we've already had. Usually in a competitive league, the running back market is going to be pretty depleted. So if you have Edwards-Helaire, you definitely spent a lot to get him, and you definitely got to play him every week. You just got to take the risk.
Where would you draw the pivot for Patrick Mahomes?
Like Joe Burrow, like I said, if you had
that the lowest you're going to go, would you go to Kirk Cousins against Houston?
I would. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't pivot to Kirk Cousins.
I think a good pivot too could be Fitzpatrick from Mahomes, but if you go based on your guys' logic, you're starting Patrick Mahomes. Period. You're going to take the risk. Yeah, okay. With that being said, make sure to check us out on like us on Facebook so you can see every mailbag, Twitter @officialbudhole, Facebook BudHole, TikTok @officialbudhole, YouTube official BudHole. And if you watch the South Park's pandemic special,
So
you can clearly tell that all 3 of us have integrity. So with that being said, thank you for joining the BudHole mailbag. We love you all. Peace out.
Spread BudHole.
Bye.